Welcome, Becky. Welcome, Karen. Welcome to welfare.
We're all inclusive. So
and we're not saying that you shouldn't support anybody who's in need. We're saying exactly that. Support the people that are in need, the poor people.
Main Street.
They should have UBI. But if you make us above a certain amount of money, you shouldn't be receiving that. Come on now.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again so much for tuning in. This is the Realdealfam Network. I am Andre, and this is the gorgeous wife, Essie.
Hello.
Boom.
I'm the boss of the show. He's the head of the house, and that's just how it is.
That's it. Thank y'all again so much for tuning in. And we do highly appreciate all the new subscribers, all the support we've been getting, all of the comments, the thumbs up, everything. We highly, highly appreciate it. And if you hadn't had the opportunity yet to do so, please go ahead now and take the time and hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe. We got a lot of good, juicy videos and topics, and today is one.
Yes, this one is quite juicy. And with that being said, let's dive right in.
Juicy like me?
Yeah. Well, this one is basically welcome to welfare.
Karen, welcome to welfare, girl.
Well, I guess the best way to explain it is that the economy has taken a downturn. It's in bad shape. It's basically on life support right now. And I'm sure everybody's heard about it. You've seen it on TV. You've seen it on videos. We've discussed it.
Right. So basically, this one is in response to the last UBI video that we did. We got a lot of responses, and everybody, that is for it is, just enlightening us on,
Again, what is UBI? So they know before we get started.
Universal Basic Income. Last video I rejected that. No, because in the United States we have a lot of history with welfare, and we'll get into that in a second. But what did they say was universal basic income in Europe?
Well, universal basic income in Europe is that everybody, from my understanding, all the citizens are guaranteed a base income. This income is not large enough to make you rich, but what it's intended to do is make sure everybody at least have enough to cover their basic need, such as food, and perhaps help supplement housing.
Yeah, so it's like you getting a stimulus, each month or a quarter, or whatever it is that they say you're supposed to be getting. So that's what it's like in Europe, so that, you always have that amount to take care of your basic needs. Now, if you want anything above and beyond that, then you have to go out and get you a job.
Yes, and basically you can equate that to, at least on a short term, the previous, I guess the CARES Act, which was a stimulus that was given for $1,200 to most citizens that made $75,000 and under, and for couples that generated $150,000, they got $2,400, and I think they gave $500 or so per child, up to 3. Something of that nature. But basically what that was intended for was to cover some of your needs to help offset the hardship that was caused by the virus. And that's, for them, it's ongoing. It's not necessarily to help them through a pandemic, but it's to help them throughout life, basically. It's something, a government-sponsored program.
Mm-hmm. So, we're going to pose the question again. Do you think the UBI program is something that would work in the States? In the last video, we kind of gave a hint as to what I thought. What'd you think, honey?
I didn't think it would work here in the States long term. I thought it would give a little bit of pushback, not from that people wouldn't want to accept it that needed it. I think it does provide a great service for individuals, such as people who are disabled or things like that. But we already have entitlement programs like that. Mm-hmm. I don't think it'll work because the prevailing philosophy here in the United States is capitalism. And capitalism is every man get it by his bootstrap. You have the opportunity to make whatever you can generate. And so Long term, there's going to be a lot of pushback politically and socially. People just not going to accept it. They're going to be like, no, why should that person get some money that I'm sure that my taxes are paying for?
Well, I mean, the basis is everybody's supposed to receive a base amount, but how I judge things is based on history. So we have this term in the United States, that's called Indian giving, Indian giving, where something is given to you and then taken back.
Broken treaties.
Yeah. So, the United States has a lot of history in giving things to people and it not being fulfilled, and especially in the African American community and other brown and black, people, peoples of color. That happens all the time. So I think it's just dangerous to start believing that you're gonna in this country specifically that you can sustain yourself with a UBI, universal basic income, received by the government.
And right, and we had one of our viewers commented, like my wife said earlier, about UBI and that it was working in Europe, and the reason why is that they liked it because they felt like it provided a certain amount of freedom, that they knew that nobody would go hungry or they would starve, or at least they had the resources to go ahead and buy them something to eat, at least for that month or what have you, or they had enough to help offset some of the cost of housing. But that wasn't the issue, like my wife said. It's the trust factor of those who would be deploying those resources. It's where they would come from and what would come behind a program like UBI.
Right, you're telling us that UBI, but all the while you're cutting small business, which is 50% of the economy.
Right.
So some may write about this picture. The money that was supposed to go to sustain small businesses, a large portion of it went to big businesses, and they already had got money, and they got bailout money in 2008 and 9. So basically, you're getting rid of the economy for small businesses and telling everybody to jump on UBI or welfare, basically. And let's just take, for instance, I'm gonna talk on this video. But welfare in the black community devastated the community. Okay, so a lot of the restrictions was put on African Americans, and from working and having small businesses and stuff. The Freedmen's Bank, the United States took that money and opened the Federal Reserves. Black Wall Street, they bombed and wiped that out, took all the money, helped open the Federal Reserve. And so constantly continue to take African Americans' money, and help prop up the government, and all the while encouraging us to have welfare. So remember, we're going based on history. Okay, we're not going to go based on promises. And so African American communities on welfare, there was regulations that went with receiving these housing and this food stamps and this cash assistance. You couldn't have a man in the house, meaning it encouraged you not to get married.
Allegedly.
No, this government policies.
Oh, I know, but I'm sure.
We just gonna say allegedly, but that stuff happened, man.
I'm sure there was some workarounds, but go ahead.
And so it encouraged African Americans not to get married. In order for that had an effect on your health insurance. That even for our relationship, it had an effect on our relationship. We had 2 children already, but we had to think about health care. How are we going to finagle this? Should we postpone getting married a little? No, that has a big effect on the family. And therefore, if you don't have a husband and a wife, 2 people in a household, you're always, well, not always, but it's going to be very difficult for you to sustain a progressive and prosperous family. You need at least 2 people, especially you got child care and all the other expenses that come with that. So, it decimated the African American community, having to depend on welfare.
Yeah, it cut pretty deep, and like my wife say, the household typically, statistically, does better. The children and everybody involved when there's a marriage between a man and a woman, and the kids have both parents in the home.
Right.
Uh, that's just statistically proven.
Right.
And so, just like you say with welfare, that kind of discouraged that type of thing. And so, the men were not with the women. The women was a lot of guys were getting arrested, getting locked up. They just society just was throwing a lot of different things at the African American community that was not allowing it to progress.
Right, and then so if you have children, it encourages, unfortunately, abortion. A woman
Yes.
has the right to choose. But if you have one person in the household, and you and your husband aren't, well, you and your man aren't married or able to get married because you're depending on
Government
government
assistance.
assistance, you have to second guess that next baby. You know what I mean? These are just real life things that
Yeah.
African American had to go
Yeah.
through. When you say UBI, we equate that to welfare, and it's similar in our community.
Right. And I don't know if you would have to take it. I don't think you would have to take it. Like you didn't have to take welfare, but it was presented to people, and over time,
Well, why did they accept it? Because they got rid of the businesses in the African American community, and
right,
they wouldn't give African American communities loans. They redlined African American communities. You couldn't move out, so you had to receive welfare. Now, equate in our minds UBI. It's similar. The United States economy is getting rid of small businesses, Karens. I'm just
yes.
telling you. So now you're telling us that we should look forward to this, and we know in the past this did not serve African American communities very well.
Right, and just like you said, welfare has not only bled into the African American community, now it's in the corporate world as well. As you can see, in 2008, they had to come with bailout. They had to bail out a lot of different companies, the airlines, car industry. You know all about it, the housing market, banks. And they had to do it again this time. And now you might say, well, it was due to a pandemic that nobody really accounted for. Things were already heading that way. And so welfare, it not only is African American now it's corporate, it's all throughout society. You seeing people who worked, who have education, who put in for the CARES Act, and they received that stimulus check. And that's not the first stimulus check. In 2008, Obama them gave a stimulus check that people received. And so it's becoming more and more often. Although it was over maybe 12 years ago, it's still happening. The situation
There was a precedence.
that caused that whole calamity in 2008, it never was repaired. It just was glossed over and covered up. And so it's the same thing with the welfare system that the African Americans experienced in the past. And UBI, like my wife say, always is in the back of folks' mind. Like, man, we can't really trust that. It really cost our family a lot. It was meant to help assist single mothers. That was how it was sold. That's the way it should have been done. By you not encouraging the man to be in the house, it was very easy to say, okay, you got a man, those are his children. Y'all are down on your luck now. The government could have easily gave them assistance and kept them together as a unit, and then phased and kind of worked with them to help get them off of
Right,
that.
but that's not what happened. What happened is they got rid of the African American small business. You
Right.
see that happening now. Again, I'm telling
Economics.
you, repeat of history. So, everything that was done to the African American community here in the United States seems to be playing out to everybody else, including Karen. So,
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, that's in the United States of America, let's just say. I don't foresee that being a great thing. You can implement even more regulations on people's personal lives that
Definitely.
have a stake for generations. Generational welfare is continuing to still go on to this day in a large population of the African American households where they don't go to school. They don't seek jobs. They don't want to get married because why? It affects the welfare. It affects, how they're able to get by.
That's it. Just like when the school started and the kids need school clothes and moms have to call somebody, I always remember, there's no such thing as something for nothing. So you're going to always pay. So you think, oh, man, UBI is great. It helps us. It helps carry us over right now. It's bad times economically. We don't have employment. The economy is in shambles. We could use us a check every month. But just like my wife said, it's something always behind that. It's always something.
Right.
It's
you
gonna
got to get a
cost you.
vaccine in order to get your UBI. You got to, constantly telling you things that you need to do that affect you personally in your everyday life because you're receiving this.
Right.
Or you desire to receive, or you depend on it.
On its face, it would be absolutely marvelous.
That's a utopian society.
But the problem is a lack of trust. The country and the people that has run it for years have continually to prove themselves to be untrustworthy. So that's why people are a little bit weary about a program like UBI. Mm-hmm. It would be great, and it probably could help a lot of people. But people who think critically know underneath that there's something. Just like when they pass the CARES Act or these various bills, they give you a stimulus. You never have an opportunity to read that bill and see what else was snuck into that package.
Yeah, why does the bill have to be this many pages?
Right.
What else is in there?
So you giving up certain liberties that you may not be aware of when you receive that $1,200 for that stimulus check. Mm-hmm. There's things that's pushed into that package as well.
That go a long way. Just like when Bush signed all those bills, and then you end up having no privacy. They can just all those things were snuck in when that happened.
It's not free.
And take for instance, also the lottery. We talked about that before, but the lottery was pushed on people as a solution to solve the education deficit. Now, this much goes towards education out of billions and billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, it generates quite a bit of revenue.
Tiny amount. The schools are, going negative in their budgets and stuff. The money doesn't get there, okay? And so therefore, you got all this lottery stuff. Where's the money going? You can't depend and trust on that stuff to be true.
Right.
You need to depend on yourself.
Right. I think the best thing would be is for the government to kind of peel back a little bit. And it does play a very vital role in society.
Right, for those that are in need. But you take away a giant sector, small business, people being able to prosper without the government, that's what we're saying. Remove that and just say depend on UBI, that ain't gonna work, man.
Yes, I mean, look at society now. If you don't have, people don't have the freedom to move around right now. They're restricted.
Locked down.
They're not going to ball games. You're not going over to see family out of town. Just all the things you were accustomed to doing that made you feel good, made you feel alive, working your business, generating revenue, going to work for a job that you did love. Not everybody, but some people. And those type things are going to be cut out. And the quality of life won't be the same. Although somebody giving you $2,000 a month, it's not going to be the same. So trust me, a short-term stimulus to help the ills for that moment,
stop giving money to big businesses. What are you doing?
That may be okay. Yeah,
how much can they continue to get and then go bankrupt anyway?
And we asked that question. We said, is capitalism dead? And capitalism has a very simple core. You work for what you get. Your business, you either create a service or a product, something that other people will pay for, whatever that may be. And if people are not buying your product or your service anymore, your door's closed. Nobody can't prop up your business. The government can't come and say, oh, that business is too big. Too many people work for that company. So we got to make sure that company stays
Never fails.
Yeah, we got to keep them up. That bank got too many people's money in it. So we got to make sure, hey, man, if you're going to give that kind of money, just give it to the people that's working now.
Exactly.
Give them the money to hold them over till they find another job. That company need to close. Apparently, they wasn't doing something right. That's the nature of true capitalism. So
And
what
we're
we
not
got now
saying
is
that
not.
you shouldn't support anybody who's in need. We're saying exactly that. Support the people that are in
Right.
need, the poor people.
Main Street.
They should have UBI. But if you make us above a certain amount of money, you shouldn't be receiving that. Come on now. What
Yeah,
the heck?
most people wouldn't. Most people wouldn't even accept that if they get money. Now, a lot of people they get Social Security because they paid into it. Most people with that kind of money are not gonna take extra $2,000. That ain't gonna do nothing for them.
Well, I'm sure they would still receive it.
Agreed. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But
prop up the people that are in the lower economic brackets with that money, and
yes,
still have your business sector.
Take care of your citizens without crippling society. That's the key. And so that's the job of the government. Just find the right balance. That's all.
Yeah, we don't want to be subjects in somebody's kingdom.
Exactly.
We want to be free individual citizens.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and then if you need aid and if you need it to be propped up, then you can receive it.
Right.
Yeah.
And don't destroy a family at the same time. Okay, we're going to help you with assistance, but you can't be married. You got to get rid of that man. He can't be here.
You got to take this vaccine.
Right. All of those things, that's called with contingencies. So that's nobody wants that. And look at why.
And we're speaking from experience. Our families have had to utilize welfare in the past, and generations of our families have had to use welfare in the past because why? We're African Americans, and in this country, we've been through hell and high water.
Yeah.
So, but to say that is the basis, no, you shouldn't be looking to that for the basis or for guarantee, because it stifles your growth.
Right. And it's just our opinion. It's not concrete or anything like that. That's why this is such a great conversation, that everybody brings their perspective. Like we said, our viewer from Europe commented and gave a different type perspective, and it's all welcome. And if you have anything you want to add to the conversation, please feel free to comment below and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep this kind of conversation going, and we really would appreciate it if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Right now.
Welcome, Becky. Welcome, Karen. Welcome to Welfare.
We're all inclusive. Good night.
Good night.